What you're seeing here is just this week German Chancellor Angela Merkel informing the EU that the time has finally come to officially form a real and true European army. But more on that in a moment. But what is most interesting about this is that she is not even the first European leader to call for such an army even this month. French President Macron called for a European army to defend against China, Russia, and get this, the United States. But what prompted adding the United States to this list? Well, just last month, President Trump informed the world that he is a proud nationalist, an incredibly dirty word in the globalist community.
You know, they have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
President Macron of France used Armistice Day to slam President Trump for that comment. And he did so at an event President Trump was attending in person, saying nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism, which, in my opinion, is total nonsense, as the opposite of nationalism is not patriotism, it's globalism. But here is the little NPC making his comment.
Because patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism. Nationalism is its betrayal.
President Trump, for his part, did pick up on the obvious insult, leaving the event without exiting with the failing French president. But this is where Chancellor Merkel made herself known, arguing for the creation of the European army in front of the EU Parliament, to much applause and accolades, I might add. President Trump, not to be outdone, took to Twitter to inform the world that perhaps the EU should see to its NATO obligations before forming this new European military. In fact, the President of the US even insulted the French president in specific, saying the French were all on their way to learning to speak German during World War II before the US intervened. But it was only a few months ago you would have been labeled an absolute conspiracy theorist for bringing up the idea of a single European army. Take a look at this clip of Mr. Brexit himself, Nigel Farage, being called just that, a conspiracy theorist, for warning of this European military idea.
The idea that there's going to be a European Air Force, a European army, it is simply not true. The problem with people like Nigel Farage is they swing at windmills. They see conspiracies everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Nigel Farage soon tells us that the moon landing was a fake, that Barack Obama isn't American, that Elvis isn't dead.
I would also like to take this opportunity to officially go on record and say, I told you so. As you can see here, the imminent European army was obvious well over a year ago. But given all of this, why now? Why now is Germany chomping at the bit for this new European power? Well, it's not so hard to piece together, after all. As you can see here, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has announced she will not be seeking re-election in 2021. In addition to that, EU Chief Juncker has also announced he will be stepping down in 2019. Now, you may be thinking 2019 and 2021 are too far apart for Merkel to be angling for a new job, but wait. Merkel has also announced she is resigning as party leader. The chances she serves all the way to 2021 are slim to none, as non-party leaders heading state office is virtually unheard of. I think it is incredibly obvious Miss Globalist Angela Merkel is the obvious next pick for EU chief, and thus putting her at the helm of this new One Europe army. But the fact is, this new army is well on its way to formation. Earlier this year, Brussels launched 13 billion euros into the project. And as for Germany's part, its military has long been pulling smaller European military units into the fold. In fact, many multi-nation brigades already exist within the German army. At the end of last year, 23 member nations of the EU officially signed off on this project, quietly and without much fanfare. Only the UK and Central Europe dares to resist the plan. Britain has always promised to veto such a plan, but with Brexit looming, the UK has very little say in the matter. As Brexit continues to drag on and a second referendum vote seems inevitable, it is conceivable that British soldiers will find themselves unwittingly serving in this quagmire of globalism and corruption. But who would most likely feel the wrath of this new military force? I would argue the V4 countries of the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, as the EU continues to fight for open borders and migrant quotas. National sovereignty has never been more at risk within the EU than it is right now. But anyways, guys, that about wraps it up for this one. Please let me know in the comments below if you think the Visegrad Alliance or the V4 should be worried about this new military. As always, big thank you to my Patreon supporters. I appreciate everything you do for me. And if you enjoyed this content, please consider becoming a member today. But until next time, guys, peace out.